Hey, this is Larry Hatch again, the second episode of Goodsvesting, investing in durable and valuable goods for our futures at home. Wanted to get this out of the way. Goodsvesting is not prepping. It's not hoarding. A Goodsvestor is not going to look like this at home. They're going to look a little more like this. And here's a couple of practical examples. Hoarders and preppers are going to have 24 rolls of toilet paper, one form or another. Goodsvestors, no. We can buy toilet paper out of our pocket change. It's not valuable enough. It's not durable enough. Well, maybe. But it's not valuable enough. We're not going to have 3 gallons of hand sanitizer for after the apocalypse. Why bother? Again, pretty cheap stuff. We're not going to have 3 cases of MREs. Goodsvestor is, if they do invest in food, it's going to be in valuable stuff, durable stuff, and again, that's one very practical example we can just kind of go over. I did want to give a couple of tips here, and we're going to do dozens of tips because I'm writing a book on this. One of the techniques I like to use, and I discovered it kind of on my own, but other people have too. Couponers often do this, and it's a good thing to do. Again, in the Goodsvesting category, it should be durable, valuable, storable. Buy 2, use 1, and save 1. And that's a principle that I really kind of like. And it kind of works. If you have something that you can afford, and again, you can't buy 2 of everything. You're not going to necessarily buy 2 extra cars or 2 extra refrigerators. Well, some people can. Some people have 2 extra houses. But for the rest of us in the middle class, sometimes we can stretch our budget a little bit and say, hey, I really like this particular thing, and I'm going to want it in the future. And we all know things get discontinued and we can't find them. So if you buy 2 of them, one wears out, you have a backup. And that's a principle of Goodsvesting that I like. Here's an example of some stuff I just recently bought. I like a particular running shoe in a particular color. It's called Mizuno Wave Prophecy 7. I think I'm pronouncing that right. And it's a particular edition that's in gold. Well, they're already going up in price, so I bought 2 of them. They were over $200 each, but I'm gonna wear the heck out of one set, and I'll have a backup set for some time. So that was a practical example. That's something I really liked. It was quality, and it's a limited edition. I wanted to get it before it's gone. These things I've seen them already for like $600. So hey, that's probably a good investment. There's a particular type of leather belt I like, and I'm a big dude, so I go through belts like crazy. And one time I broke my belt getting dressed in the morning, and guess what? I had a backup right there of the same thing. Didn't miss a beat. A leather laptop bag. I found a particular type of leather laptop bag, actually from India, with kind of a distressed look. It had all the pockets were right, all the padding was right, the look was right. I get compliments on it all the time. So I bought an extra one. I think they were only like $150. So I bought an extra one because the first one's going to wear out. I'll have a second one and not miss a beat. Fillet knives. I collect knives, got like 153 of them. I found a particular set of brands of fillet knives I like in the kitchen. I found some of them on sale. And one of the vendors was actually giving you a discount if you bought 2. So I bought 4. Well, fillet knives, knives can be sharpened, but fillet knives are pretty thin, sometimes fragile. So, I've got plenty of those. I also bought a couple of upscale computer mice, like the $40 to $50 range. Some of those, it's always nice to have an extra mouse around the house. I've got 4 computers at home and 2 at work, so it's always good to have another mouse, and a good one, not one of those $10 things that never works. Whiskey glasses. I don't drink a lot of whiskey, but hey, I found a particular glass that I liked the feel of it. It was textured and colored just right. I said, boy, I really like this. I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of them, not just for company, but for myself. Same thing with designer sunglasses. I don't really need a lot of sunglasses, but I look for designer sunglasses on sale, and and I was in the range of not just Ray Bans, but Versace and Prada and that sort of thing. I bought a couple extra ones because I'm really tough on sunglasses. I'll squash them and leave them somewhere. Um, Sometimes I'll leave them in the car, and I've had people break into my car and steal my sunglasses. So I have some extras, and they're extremely good designer quality stuff. But I bought them at a really good price, and I think the Versace sunglasses I bought were like $199 from a authentic dealer. Again, make sure you get authentic stuff. And I've seen them now for $275. So hey, made a couple of bucks on that. Uh, the next thing I want to talk about briefly is understanding perishability. So whether you're a prepper or a goodsvestor or whatever, you need to understand some of the physics and the biology of why stuff is durable, why stuff's perishable, and you need to mitigate or minimize these things. The main killer of stuff that's metal or mostly metal is oxidation and rust. Oxygen bonds with the metal, it rusts, and you have degradation. That happens with automobiles. Hey, you got a $3 million Ferrari, you got to protect it from rust because it'll be expensive to restore. Humidity, that also is related to oxidation. Um, Rusting usually is a combination of oxygen and humidity. Humidity is especially bad for biological things or former biological things like foods. Um, Humidity control is very important. I learned that the hard way. I had an old apartment, went home for the summer, came back, humidity had ruined everything, including a lot of valuable books. So you need to be really careful about that. Um, and this is part of curation. A goodsvestor has to be an expert in curation, meaning that you can curate the daylights out of your stuff. If your stuff's valuable or might become valuable, you need to understand and control those things. Water damage is a big one. That's different than humidity. Water gets into stuff, well, it's pretty obvious. Mold, mildew, and bacteria. Any kind of microorganism that has a little bit of humidity, boy, they're going to go to town. And usually you don't see that. Um, my dad collected old magazines like Popular Science and stuff like that. He thought they were going to be valuable someday. Well, the mildew in the attic just ruined everything. They turned to little pieces of flaking paper. Ironically, my mother was a librarian, but he wouldn't let her touch those. So all the stuff he had invested in and bought all those years, just little shreds of flakes of paper. You gotta control the mildew, bacteria. This also applies to sports cards. Boy, don't leave your sports cards sitting in a back room somewhere because you never know. Light and sun. That's an enemy of a lot of stuff. That's why medicines and wines and stuff are in often green and brown, blue bottles to keep the light out. Heat is a big enemy too, especially if you combine heat and humidity. Boy, that can really damage stuff. Cold is bad too. Extreme of cold. You think, well, some stuff freezes, it's preserved. No. There's a lot of products that cold will damage, and you have to know your product and where to keep it. UV exposure. Again, that's related somewhat to light and sun, but it's a little different. Ultraviolet light is its own thing. There's a lot to light and sun that's different than UV. understand the differences. Animals and insects. Oh my God. I had a landlord years ago who had a beautiful, valuable car. Extremely beautiful, beautiful, valuable collector's car. He went away for the summer, came back. A family of raccoons had taken up residence in it. His perfect, wonderful, expensive white leather seats were just ruined. While some of the mechanicals in the vehicle were ruined. It cost thousands and thousands of dollars to repair. It seemed like a animal-proof garage. So you have to be careful with these things. Sometimes people put down animal traps or organic pesticides just in case. You know, you gotta rats and mice. Wow, they can ruin your stuff in a hurry. In fact, mice will chew on a $10,000 baseball card if it's not properly protected. Desiccation and drying, that's generally evaporation. So humidity on one side is too much moisture. Desiccation and drying on the other side is the other extreme, often accompanied by heat. Molecular breakdown is another thing. That's actually different than the product of heat and cold and mildew and so on. Some chemicals are not stable. For example, a very old wine will break down to vinegar, even if it's in a controlled cellar with the right temperatures and humidities. Certain chemicals are just not stable over time, and they will degrade into things that don't look good or taste good, discoloration and so on. So learn about these things, learn about curation, spend a little time. There's a lot of good websites on how to preserve and curate things, and I recommend you check those out.